What is happening, guys? Welcome back to Redbeard's Garage, and on today's episode we're finally going to be tearing down Lonnie's mini bike. It's kind of partially tore down. When we had this at the GPS 180 race, we broke the seat on mine. We basically brought Lonnie's bike as a full parts bike, so we had everything we needed sitting on the bike. We had an extra set of tires, we had chain, seat, gas tank, all that stuff. So what ended up happening at the GPS 180 race is my seat broke, so we had to steal the seat off this. And then we kept kicking a chain because of those rubber bushings being worn out in the chassis. So unfortunately we did steal the chain off this, but it didn't fix the problem because of that chain flexing. So what we're going to do is strip down Lonnie's bike. We're going to upgrade the forks just like we did mine. Basically give Lonnie's bike the same exact thing we did to mine. The only thing is we're going to be building this Tillotson 225 from Go Power Sports. This is one of my favorite engines to buy. Like, a lot of people are buying the Ghosts and stuff. I'd say if you're going to buy the Ghost and the accessory kit, in my opinion, I would spend the money on this engine, because this is going to make way more power right out of the box, and it's basically a pre-built engine that you're getting. So or you can buy it like this. Was a DIY kit, comes in a bunch of pieces, you put it together, you learn about these engines. It's super fun. I can't remember what all we've done to this. We'll put it on screen right here. This is a cam, it's got a rod, a flywheel, billet side cover, stuff like that, but we're going to give it even more power with putting a better head on this engine, and possibly some ratio rockers if it don't already have them. I don't know, you'll have to read there. But we're going to get this thing tore down and rebuilt to perfection. Don't know if it all happened in this video, because we are going to get the chassis or the frame powder coated as well like we did mine, but we'll do our best. So let's start stripping this thing down so we can go on some ride and start having some fun. So this is the main problem area here. Is this cradle has bushings, rubber bushings in this, as well as the swing arm. Now you can take these 14mm nuts off and slide these two bolts out of this lower cradle and pull it out and replace them with the bushings. The steel bushings, you can just weld it like it is. I recommend putting the steel bushings in it, then welding it. You don't even have to weld it. You can just put the bushings in it, and that's good enough. But what ends up happening is as you kick the chain, it'll start bending this square tubing up, and that's what happened on my bike. For some reason, Lonnie's isn't as bad, but it never had, 19 horsepower on it. So that's probably the reason Lonnie's was okay. I think the limit is about 14 horsepower that these bushings can handle. Then you can take off this entire little bulkhead. What we're going to do with this is cut off these foot pegs, because we no longer use them, cap them off, weld them up, clean them up, and it'll be real nice. Look at the shrapnel. So we got everything stripped down. Now we basically have to prep the swing arm, what I'm calling the swing arm, the engine cradle. Got to get these bushings out there, put the slugs in, weld this up, and then we have to cut these foot pegs off, weld this up. Then on the swing arm here, we have to get the bushings out of it. I'm not going to do heim joints on his, I'm just going to do the metal slugs. I think I may end up doing heim joints, I don't know yet. And then we have to knock this little race off so this can get powder coated as well. And I will be cutting his back fender off like I did mine, getting rid of it completely because it gets bent up quite a bit, and replacing it like I did on my bike with the hose clamps. So that's the next thing. And my frame ended up being cracked right here. His looks like it's good. We'll sand it and make sure there's no stress cracks, and then I'll go ahead and put a piece of steel on it, because I don't want his to crack in the future of hard use. That just strengthens the weakest part probably of the frame, which is this lower part here. So we'll press on. All right, so we have Lonnie's Tillotson 225 sitting here on the bench. Now, Lonnie knew we was going to do this whole build for him. He just didn't know when. It was one of those things like, oh, I'll get to it. So he's probably not expecting to get his bike redone for a long time. So this is all going to be a surprise, and you guys are going to see him be surprised on camera. So again, this is the Tillotson 225 builder's kit that Go Power Sports has. It basically comes in a box. You put it all together. I did I think the Hot 265 cam in this. It has stock valve train, stock head. This head does flow a little bit better than a stock head. And it has a billet rod and a billet flywheel and a flat top piston. So that's all that's been done to this. That's a pretty good build for around 13 to 14 horsepower on our dyno, and that's pretty good power to make. This bike did feel stout, but when you got off my bike that's making a little over 19, or it's making right at 19, it was a way different bike. So what we're going to do, and this is not really the normal build you would use this on, But we're going to use Go Power Sports Moflow head. They just got these in. These are freaking amazing heads. They're all billet. Now, this would be more for a drag bike setup. It does have large valves in it, so we're going to have to worry about making sure this bike stays cool. But the way these frames are, they do have good airflow to the head. So we are running a standard billet flywheel, so we have the good fins on it that's going to help keep this head cool. So this is amazing. This is the 18cc. I didn't want to go so aggressive, and they was out of stock of the 14, let's face it. But it has a port match intake that comes with it, and I went ahead and made a gasket. It does not come with a gasket. I just traced it out and cut one. Super sick. I mean, it comes out of the box with titanium retainers, double valve springs. So what we're going to be adding into this Moflow head, and by the way, links to all these parts are in the video's description. This head is freaking amazing. It's a work of art. Lonnie's going to have one sick mini bike. It comes with an amazing diamond shaped valve cover. This is one of my favorite parts, if you can't tell. This thing is sick. So we're going to be throwing in some of Go Power Sports Black Venom 1.3 ratio rockers. So that means after all said and done, he's got a 265 cam. When you times 0.265 times 1.3, what do we have, Jerry? That is a 344 lift that we're getting out of this. And that's going to be insane. So we're going to do some chromoly push rods. We're going to install these Black Venom rockers. And in the next episode, when we put the bike, when we put the bike back together, we're going to make sure and dyno this engine at the first of next video. So we're going to build this stuff. We strip down the bike. It's at powder coat right now. So we're going to get this engine built up. We'll dyno it on the next episode. I know you guys are wanting to see it dynoed. Trust me, it's just the way these videos have to go. We're about out of time. So let's get this stuff installed and get ready for the next video. It was time to take this thing apart. The head gasket was starting to flake off, so it was good timing. So we can get this head milled and ported up and set on the shelf, because this is the 196R head. This was much better than a normal, 212 head or whatever. They got a little bit better flowing ports on them. Real nice. So normally with something like this, I would use studs instead of the bolts, but I have none. So before we go for too many rides, I'd like to swap this out to studs. And unfortunately, I don't think I have push rods in the length that I need. Since we've been doing so many engine builds here lately, like the Road to Horsepower, I've used up, normally I keep one of each size push rod, but I'm out of the most common sizes. So we need to get those in. I'm assuming these do not have lash caps on this particular set of valves. So we need to get push rods in, and then we can button this thing up. It looks freaking sweet though. Look at that thing. This looks awesome. I'm super pumped for Lonnie. He don't know he's getting the billet head. He knew he was going to get a head that had been worked, like milled and ported. He had no clue he was getting the sickest head on the market. So, and I'm going to clean the rest of the engine, the block up real good with a toothbrush and some parts cleaner, and get everything shine his side cover back up, and then we'll be able to throw it back together. It's supposed to be back from powder coat tomorrow, and we'll be able to surprise Lonnie. So we have the billet head all installed. I'm actually going to be pulling it off in the next video and installing a firing gasket instead of the sheet metal one, because of the temperature differences. I was told by an engine builder at Go Power Sports that because this is a billet head and it's a lot thicker of aluminum, it flexes different than the block, of course, and you can get head gasket leaks with the thin one. So we're going to go with the firing gasket instead. Also, we have the hot 265 cam in this, and I think I'm going to go crazy and do the 356 cam on 1.3 ratio rockers. That should give us over 400 lift out of this engine. It's going to be ridiculous. Lonnie has no clue that he's getting all this stuff. He thought this was going to be my head because it's like a super awesome part. But in fact, we're going to hook him up. I also ordered some head studs from Go Power Sports, as well as some longer push rods. I didn't have any push rods that would match. This is a super tall head, of course. Like the valve geometry is pretty crazy. So we're going to wait on all that stuff. When it comes in, we're going to throw it the rest of the way together and throw it on our dyno and see what kind of power this thing will make with like 440 lift. I can't remember the exact number, just times 0.356 by 1.3, and you'll see what kind of lift we'll have out of this engine. It's going to be ridiculous. So Lonnie's bike, and Lonnie weighs half of what I do, less than half now. I'm not as fat as I used to be. So he's going to be even faster than me. Like, it's going to be a crazy bike. So I'm super pumped for Lonnie. He has no clue. He was actually over here the other day, and I was trying to wean him away from the garage so he wouldn't see his bike stripped down. Because like I said, he probably thought it was going to happen, you know, months down the road. So I hope you guys are excited about this Moflow head. It's going to be freaking insane on that bike, especially with over 400 lift. This head is ready for 500 lift. We're going to talk about this head more in depth on the next video where we dyno it, and we'll put Lonnie's bike completely back together, and then we'll surprise Lonnie with his all new 100% upgraded baddest of the bad off-road mini bikes. So super pumped to do that for him. So stay tuned for that next video. We got a road to horsepower video coming out as well, where we do a bigger cam and some double valve springs on the road to horsepower engine. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys so much for your support, your love, all your awesome comments. We read them. Even if we can't reply back to all of them, we are reading them. So thank you guys for the support, and make sure to check out those links in the video description to everything we use on this bike. And I hope you guys are excited as I am to see Lonnie's reaction to his ultimate mini bike that's even further than mine for some reason. Why did I do this? I don't know. We love you guys. God bless.